about starting a business and wanted to try and find a product, or invent a product that could really get me on the road. So like a true entrepreneur, I had the idea and just noticed that people were refilling water bottles in the office environment. People now refill their bottles up to 7 times before buying a new bottle. The idea is they want to save on the plastic and save on the water. So whilst I was doing all this training and drinking lots of water, I came up with the idea of getting a sachet of powdered vitamins and minerals and putting it into a refilled water bottle, and once you shake it, it instantly dissolves and turns it into a healthy award-winning soft drink for only 16p. That's the pitch. And the real clincher was when I was walking around Littlewood stores when I was selling my software, when I was an IT salesman. And up at their head office, I just noticed one girl particularly had got one of these massive, great big horse-sized vitamin C tablets. We're trying to break it into the top of a water bottle, and of course it didn't fit, so she tried to break it in, crumbled in there, and of course this vitamin C tablet was effervescent, so it fizzed up all over her keyboard. I just thought, there's got to be a market for this. So I went up and I asked her, I said, what are you doing that for? She said, I'm trying to get my 2 litres of water each day, but I find water boring. I'd like something to make it taste better and be better for me. So that's why I invented Wahoo, which is now in Asda, Waitrose, Morrison's, and also we supply the Ministry of Defence in ration packs in 10 theatres of operation around the world.
Wicked. So Wahoo.
Do you want to see it?
Yes, please.
Always good.
Brilliant. Okay. I can't see it on screen.
That's correct. I can always hold that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is, and it's been out in the shops for a year. I started in my back bedroom in 2004, but I sold the majority stake just last year, and I'll even open one up for you. As I said, it's just a little sachet of vitamins and minerals. You give it a shake and you pour it into your water bottle, like yours over there, and you've got a healthy award-winning soft drink for 16p.
So what are the vitamins and minerals?
Particularly the water-soluble vitamins, because when you're trying to drink 2 litres of water, you're actually leaching out some water-soluble vitamins. So it's vitamin B1, 3, 5 and 6 and vitamin C.
So how did you know they were important?
Because firstly, they're the ones that dissolve to clear in cold water, and because we didn't want to detract from the benefits of bottled water, it was designed to dissolve almost immediately. Very boringly, 32.5 seconds it takes to dissolve clear if you shake it properly. So, I mean, bearing in mind I'm in my back bedroom at this point, I'm not a chemist or a pharmacologist or anything like that, not trained. So I hopped on a plane to Geneva with a business mentor friend of mine who said, you've got to go to a trade show and ask. So I went to a trade show and asked if I was going to invent this product, you know, what should be in it that's going to make it taste nice, clear soluble and functional. And literally I walked in there, and the first stall I went to, the guy said you need vitamin B1, 3, 5 and 6, vitamin C would be a bonus, and also you need a carrier called maltodextrin. And what maltodextrin does is it makes sure that it carries those vitamins into a sachet and then through to the product.
So it's kind of, I'm just likening that to the capsule covering, isn't it? Almost. If it was a pill, if it was an oral pill, it's the case.
Yeah, the sachet.
Okay. Wicked. I'm thinking when we're cutting this, it would be cool if you could just tell me in a really short nutshell your story, like you've just done, but
shorter.
Yes. So literally in 3 sentences, if that's possible. As a runner, and I was really into fitness, and I could see that there was a market. So I was in my back bedroom. I was like, so I went to the trade show, and I was like, what can I put in this? And someone told me, and there it is.
Okay, let's give it a go then.
Wicked.
So let's start again then. I decided I wanted to start my own business, and because I'm heavily into sport, it had to be a hydration-based product because I needed to drink a lot of water. So not being from a pharmaceutical background, I decided to go to a trade show and basically ask the experts what should go into my product. So from that, I invented a powdered product that's delivered into a water bottle in a sachet. It's got vitamins B1, 3, 5 and 6 in, and also vitamin C, and helps people drink more water and gives it a light, refreshing flavour and vitamins.
Cool. Okay. So can I just ask you, just because I'm interested, the B135 and the vitamin C, do you know exactly what? Because they say that obviously iron is good for your blood cell count and all that business, isn't it? What does B135 do? That's
a very good question. If you read the back of the packaging, it'll tell you instantly. Generally, so not very specifically, B1, 3, 5 and 6 are good for skin and hair and nails, specifically we put those in for the target market as well as being clear soluble. It aids in digestion and also has a probiotic effect, which means it makes the gut healthier for your well-being. Rather than put healthy bugs in there, it makes it create a nice environment for healthy bugs in there as well. And of course, vitamin C is one of the most powerful antioxidants.
Okay, cool. And do you drink it?
I drink it every day. Yeah, I mean, after the marathon disarm, I try to keep relatively fit, so I still do 10Ks and marathons, and I do find water a bit boring, and I know I've got to drink 2 litres a day, so this helps me do it. And of course, I'm going to use my own products as often as possible.
Do you really believe in the whole 2 litres of water?
Absolutely do, yeah, absolutely. If you have 8 hours of sleep, 2 litres of water a day, healthy balanced diet and regular exercise, that has to be the basis of a healthy lifestyle. Everything else is a bonus.
Cool. So you don't have to be so formal, I'm just trying to kind of...
Oh, do I sound informal?
I know you're probably quite just, presenting your stuff, which is fair dues.
Bear in mind I've been doing 5 years presenting it.
Yeah, I know you've got
so it's quite a difficult thing.
I'm trying to think, are there any fun stories when you were on your rise to success? Can you tell me a fun anecdote that, for instance...
Well, I'll give you an example. We
Go on.
hadn't told my wife's parents what we were doing. And bearing in mind, I said I was in the back bedroom, but we had to just use the house. And this is a white powder. So of course we've got white powder all over the kitchen table and scales and measuring devices and so on. And my wife's father, Brian, comes in and he takes one look and says, "What on earth is going on here?" Now he's not particularly switched on, but he immediately had his thoughts of what we were doing. And then we explained to him, sat him down and said that I'd left my job because I had this good idea and I decided to take it to the next step, be a bit gung-ho and take it on and formulate these things myself. But that was just so funny, it was hysterical, it was really, really fun, good fact.
Brilliant. I'm just thinking in context, I will cut a bit about your story first and then so it makes sense that we're talking about powder, because otherwise the BBC will be like, hang on a second, who are you bringing here? Are there any other ones that I can kind of intercut with? Or is there anything that makes you chuckle when you think back to, I don't know, maybe the hardship? Is there an example of how
I'll give you an example of the pain involved.
Go on.
It's not a particularly funny story.
Go on.
I had a successful career in IT during the boom years, so I had a little bit of cash. And that's what I put into the business, but that ran out very, very quickly because I was quite naive when I started. And I remember one time particularly, I was in tears in front of my wife because we couldn't pay the mortgage. And we've always been able to pay the mortgage, 3 kids, it was particularly difficult. So that was a real turning point for me. And difficult as it was and emotional as it was also a real spur to make sure I could just crack on and make it work.
So how did you overcome that?
As an entrepreneur, you have to do absolutely everything and anything to make it happen. There's a very good quote by a guy called Henry Kravis. I don't really want to go into quotes, but he says a real entrepreneur is someone with no safety net underneath them. And it's true. You have to do absolutely everything you can do to make it happen, and every entrepreneur will do that, except the ones who perhaps got so far and are now writing their autobiographies who can look back through rose-tinted glasses. I don't think I'm far enough away from that yet, because I still own a stake in the business and it's still working for me. That's fine. But no, that was, I look back on that and I think that took me to a place I wasn't best pleased with. But without it, I don't think I would have been successful.
Cool. So was this your first product?
This was my very first invention. This is the 4th incarnation of it as well.
Would you mind saying it in a sentence, Wahoo, rather than this, just so it makes sense?
Yeah, this is my first product. Wahoo is the first product. It was always based around hydration. It's the 4th incarnation of the product. It was called 1.8, then it was called O2Go, and now it's called Wahoo, and it's the 2nd version of Wahoo. Unfortunately, with the O2Go product, there's a rather large mobile phone company who decided that the O2 part of O2Go wasn't to their liking. So we had to knock that on the head fairly quickly.
Is that how you came to this?
I had always done my own branding and marketing. In fact, we got it into the military and also Morrison's under the brand name O2Go, so it was successful in its own right. But as it became more mainstream and O2's lawyers picked up on it, it was decided that we would go to a professional organisation and actually come up with a proper name. So they came up with a fantastic presentation about Wahoo, very glitzy, lots of videos, lots to show, and we were sold on it immediately.
Brilliant. Cool.
Really trying not to sound formal, but it's so difficult.
No, it's cool. I'm trying to nod kind of body.
I know you are. I'm quite aware of that.
Sorry, people think I'm like a cartoon character. They're annoying. Okay, so the knowledge that you can take from your experience, and what's the primary knowledge that you would take from your experience and pass on to someone who's starting their own business?
I've helped a lot of companies start out on their own. It started just with friends, but as that became successful and I started to get a name for myself, I now help large companies do it. And I always start with the same piece of advice. You've just got to keep on going and do your research. That is absolutely the most fundamental question. You can come up with a fantastic product, but if you haven't got a market of it, or if you've got a market of one, which is generally the entrepreneur, it's going to be a very expensive product to buy to have to make any profit out of yourself. So absolutely, research is key into target market, into packaging, all the way through you should be researching. Even now we research into our products and our services and our offerings because the market changes so quickly and you've got to stay ahead. Research is the key. But to entrepreneurs, particularly starting out rather than businesses, it's keep on going. There are so many hurdles to get over, but I personally have got over some difficult hurdles, both emotional and financial, in business myself, through starting my business, and I just feel that's the biggest piece of advice. Just keep on going. There's not an insurmountable problem. Everything can be solved. And mostly very easily, mostly just by asking someone for some help.
Do you mean practical?
Practical? I'll give you an example of a problem that was solved for me. I had absolutely no idea, sitting in my back bedroom, where I was going to get my packaging done because I'd had no experience. So I've always had a thing for Walker's Crisps. So I phoned up the packaging director, or the guy in charge of packaging at Walker's Crisps. I said, you don't know me, but I really like your packaging. It's flow wrap packaging, I found out now. I think I get my product flow wrapped. Can you tell me who you use for packaging? He goes, I've absolutely no idea who you are, but you've had the guts to give me a call. Well done. I'm more than happy to help you. So he told me where to get my packaging done. I think now we still do all our packaging through that company by referral. But I had no idea where to go. And it was a big block for me. And all of a sudden we had an order, we had no product in packaging, we had to get the packaging and move on. There is another piece of advice I'd give someone starting out as well, which I hadn't realised, is you don't have to have a product to be able to sell it into the retailers. All you need is a prototype and a good pitch. I spent a lot of money early on, wasted a lot of money early on, by creating my product and getting it designed, and the majority of my own cash went on that, to take it into the retailers, where in fact you don't need that, you just need a mock-up. Even the most basic brown box mock-up will do, as long as you've got something to substantiate it, and in most cases it's research that you need.
By research, also bottom line stuff, manufacturing costs?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that goes without saying. More importantly, I think, is to research the market. Because without the market and be able to price set, how can you research the suppliers and get them to price set so you can manage a meaningful piece of finance to say, right, well, I've actually got a chunk there that's actually going to be for me. It's a product that's going to work. A piece of advice that was given to me early on was, don't worry about the money. If you're passionate about it and you can make it work, the money will come. Now, I agree with that to an extent, but having had to knuckle down and do the financial side, you've got to make sure that's absolutely right. I've seen a lot of people fall foul of a great idea purely because it's own success. It's been so successful, they can't supply to it, they haven't got a profit margin. In fact, most people miss out. Most people start out, they've got how much they buy it in for and how much they sell it for, but they completely forget about how much it costs to transport it. It's amazing. I'd say nearly 90–95% of people that I've worked with forget about the transport costs. It just kind of slips their mind. It's something they just don't think about in the whole hubbub of everything that's going on.
It's quite a boring thing to factor in, isn't it?
Yeah, but you have to.
I know you have to.
People always skip over the boring stuff. But that's why you'll learn. So I'm saying as if it's not you'll learn, but I'm speaking to you as if you're starting your business. But that's how people will learn. That you have to do these things because they fall foul of them. And some people are saying, well, it's too difficult, I can't get over it. And some people say, I forgot it, I've got no money in there. And they're the people who will crack on and actually do something about it. And, entrepreneurship is extremely trendy at the moment. All the TV programs are about it. And I think people just, they grasp it as quickly as they can and run with it because they think it's exciting and new and I'm an entrepreneur and look at me. But the boring stuff is has become to me the most interesting because it's the stuff that people skip over, because it's the stuff that has to be done.
Okay. Can you give me an example of a company that you've helped?
Which particular field? Because I've helped a few.
Retail, if possible.
Particularly retail. Okay.
Because the types of small companies that you'd be dealing with in this show would be retail.
Okay. So apart from my own product, I've helped another food company launch into Tesco's, and it's a brand name you'll be familiar with, I would imagine, called Dairy Sticks, which is a little stick of milk that you find on trains, planes and automobiles. It's very big in food service, and it replaces those old jigger pots. Do you remember the little pots of milk, and you open them and they spray in your face, and it's, you don't know those? Well, these are, I brought some of those as well.
Sorry.
That's okay. These are Dairy Sticks.
Oh wow.
They're little sticks of milk, but it's real milk. And the company involved is actually a sister company of my own company. And they came to me and said, look, we're great at food service, but we're not very good at retail. Can you package it, brand it, market it, and promote it within a retailer? And we want that in 4 months. From just giving me this, can you get it then into the retailer? And we launched in Tesco's about 2 months ago. And it's on the shelves of Tesco's now, retailing very nicely indeed. Another product I've been working with is it's a luxury cashmere product called Cocoon You, and that's a clothing item. It's not really any high street supermarket retailers, but we sell that through Harrods, Debenhams and Harvey Nichols. It's quite high-end stuff, it's very expensive. So we took that from branding into design, including all the website and everything associated, making sure the supplier was on track, because the supplier is actually Mongolian and it's all very ethically sourced as well. It's beautiful material, really nice material, very warm and cosy. She'll do very well this Christmas with this product, but that's not doing very well in the luxury end of things as well.
Brilliant. So you've got 2 ends of the scale.
In terms of what?
In terms of stuff that you've helped launch.
Yeah, I've also got a pharmaceutical company in Asia who I'm helping with innovation of a new retail ready set of food products, which is very exciting because the Asian market's very new to me, and that was by referral, so that's very good. And the second one, I've got a European that I was employed by Boston Consulting Group, BCG, to help a German pharmaceutical company brainstorm what products they might need to get into the European health food marketplace. So the crossover between pharmaceutical products and health food products is actually becoming, they call it nutraceutical rather than pharmaceutical products. So I'm helping them with that too. And that's also to get into European retailers. So once we've created those products, we've also launched those into European retailers as well.
Brilliant.
So quite busy on the launching and retail front.
Okay, great. So we've gone over your key advice, which is research.
I wouldn't say that's the only thing.
Go on, so carry on. What else? If you start with a full sentence, and then I can make sense of it.
You know I've written a couple of books. I'm sure I told you that. That's what all authors do. Because we don't write books to make money, we write books because it enhances our credibility more than anything. So there's a whole load of advice I could give you. I've got a book here for you if you want to.
So well out of this meeting.
You'd have to, right? You're going to get all of this.
I'm going to be so bloody healthy and well read.
That was the book at the moment.
Cool.
It's just a little. That was to get me writing, and my next book's out on the when is it? On the 16th, and that's called Free Sourcing: How to Start a Business with No Money. That's basically for advice for entrepreneurs, but the free sourcing one is advice for entrepreneurs who really don't think they can do it because of the cash issue, where there are so many free ways to do it.
Let's talk about that.
For the free sourcing. Well, free sourcing is how to start a business with no money, because the biggest, you get so many people sitting in the pubs saying, I've got this great idea, let's do it, 4 people, go back on the internet with a curry, this is what we're doing, brilliant, we'll talk about it next morning, nothing at all. And I was just bored of hearing this, mostly from all my friends, because of course once I'd started down the road doing it myself, people would come to me for advice. And I said, there's absolutely nothing to stop you starting your own business. And we're fairly grown up now, we've all got families, and so we have our responsibilities too. But what people don't realise is that just hard work and time is all you really need to start a business. The government give you money if you want to start a business. Take example, my friend Christopher Pash, very good friend of mine. He's always been going on about wanting to be a photographer. He's brilliant with a camera, but he can't be asked. So I said to him, look, just take your camera on a Saturday afternoon, take some time out from the family, and go and take a picture of Cannizaro Park Hotel in Wimbledon. take a picture of that, go to, develop it, do what you want with it, take it to them and say, look, I want to give you this photo for your promotional use. I don't want paying for it, and put it, use it in your glossy magazine, which they did, as long as you give me a testimonial back to say that I did this work for you. And then he took that and he went to another hotel and said, look, I've taken this photo of this hotel, they've used it, I specialise in this, from hotels, and you can go to celebrities, you can go down the PAP route, you can do all those kind of things. All it takes a bit of time and effort. But people are quite, especially in the internet age, a little bit worried about time and effort because everything's so immediate for us at the moment. It takes an awful lot of time to get from an idea to actually being a successful idea. Or even just into retailers, it can take an inordinate amount of time. What I hope in the free sourcing book I've done is show that 1, you don't need cash, 2, it doesn't take quite as long as you think, and 3, it's mostly down to you as an individual, it's down to the emotion of the person who's come up with the idea. Who would a buyer rather see? Like a national account manager who's been working for Unilever for 20 years, who knows the ins and outs of every single spreadsheet going, or they want to see someone with a real story who can sit there and say, I invented this because I tried to run across the Sahara and I needed to drink water, or I invented this because I was tired of paying so much for children's clothes and I wanted some comfortable children's clothes that were trendy looking and not too expensive for the average budget. Because it's about the person. I remember going into one, you've got me rabbiting now, I remember going into one...
It's good rabbiting.
Yeah. I remember going into one buyers meeting. It was with the O2Go product in Sainsbury's, which is just down the road from me, of course. And I walked in there and she said, you're not going to do very well in this meeting. I said, why not? Because the product before was the Juice Doctor, which was actually 4 years ago now. The Juice Doctor is quite mainstream now. It's a product that Juice Doctor had been in before. And they brought Steve Redgrave, the Olympian, in to do the pitch. Because it's not just about the product, it's about what you're going to do with the product and the memory of the product for the buyer. And that buyer particularly, when I walk in there as a very green, very new kind of salesman of these type of products, you're not going to do very well because I've just had Steve Redgrave in here. I got knocked for 6. Still got the product in though.
Sainsbury's meant to be horrible to work with.
Really? I've met him a couple of
someone else
times.
that went to that building, and I'm told that there's a thing a big board in their front that's it's companies that they...
Yeah, it's winners and losers of the week. You've got a Batman, you've got a Joker on it.
So odd.
I know, but they do it for a reason. But with retail, you have to do all the work. That's the thing. The buyers don't. I'm not saying they don't do lots of work. They do a lot of work. But if you can do more work than the next person who's trying to get on that shelf, and in that shelf space that's earmarked for you, then you're going to stay there, and they're going to get kicked out, or vice versa. You've got to do more than the next person. So all the national account managers, they provide all the reports that the buyers need. The buyers don't do the reports. They provide all the merchandising. This is where it should sit. This is how much money you'll make. In fact, one thing I didn't realise when I first started is the idea of category captains. So if you take soft drinks, for example, Pepsi and Coke, Coke might pay for the privilege of being the category captain. So they'll tell the buyer, this is how much Pepsi you should have in, and this is how much Coke you have in. But because Coke might be category captain and do all the work, they might say, well, we'll actually have a bit more Pepsi than Coke this month because they're doing a promotion. Which is a very odd thing for 2 of the biggest competitive soft drinks in the business, actually deciding who goes on shelf and who doesn't. But it's worth it to keep that category captain status. I mean, there's so much detail in retail. That's what you must have heard, that retail is detail.
No.
That was the big...
Sounds dirty.
It's not dirty. It's not dirty.
No, I mean dirty business.
No, it's not dirty business at all. It's all very above board and
is
very
it?
qualified.
Mm-hmm.
It just amazes me when I found out that Coke would basically tell the buyer, this is how much Pepsi you're buying, and please buy more Pepsi than Coke this month because they're doing promotion. And it'd be Coke saying that about their competitor.
Mad. It's boggling.
There is a lot. With retail, there's a lot to get your head around.
Yeah.
It's taken me 5 years.
So you think that it's about the personality, it sounds?
It's definitely about, to become an entrepreneur, it's all about the personality. There are products out there that shouldn't be out there in the marketplace. They're doing well, otherwise they wouldn't stay. But there are so many products that aren't there. There's so much innovation that we've missed and are not benefiting from because people haven't had the drive, if you like. Instantly, you watch things like Dragon's Den. They've often said to people, I don't like your products, but I'll have a percentage of who you are and all your next ideas. Because it's about the person, it's the tenacity involved in getting around the issues and being able to make something work. Isn't that why people hire someone off a CV? Because they can solve the problems for somebody. It's the same for an entrepreneur, except they're solving problems for themselves.
Brilliant. Okay, I think we've covered most things.
I feel I've been talking an awful lot.
Let's get to the final interview. In terms of Jo, Jo's a very creative lady, and her business partner is her husband. I think I mentioned this on the phone. And we're looking for someone who can do the practical side of the business.
Yeah.
Is that up your street? You've talked about...
I mean, I've had to do everything for my own product, and I am particularly good about getting products into retail. There are two facets to that. One is actually being a salesman and being able to sell the product in, and the second is being able to do the detail work. Now, I did bring a load of spreadsheets and presentations, but it's obviously not the forum to do it in. And a set of sample reports that I prepare for each of my clients, every week, and it is a lot of hard work. But as I said before, I enjoy that because I like being measured. I like being measured on success, and if I can see how many products are being sold and have an input into helping someone sell more just purely from the data, then that gets me going. Because it might mean, I know it sounds odd, but it does, because if you can see off the data, which is so detailed. Let's say from Asda's data is absolutely fantastic. You can see how many sold of which variety within an hour of it selling. So you've got the graphs of when it's what the peak times are, when you should do your promotions. It's not even just seasonality. You can do that minute by minute, or not minute by minute, but hour by hour. And you can see which stores aren't selling a lot. So you go to those stores and you find out why they're not selling a lot. And it might be that they're not on the shelf in the right place. They're not merchandised in the right place. So you go in the back and you get some more product out and you say, this isn't the right place. You physically have to do that. I've been to 20 stores in one day to do just that, because it helps my product sell more. And it's that kind of detail that's needed to make a product succeed in retail, as well as having the salesmanship and rapport with the buyer at the same time.
Brilliant. Okay, so you're happy to play right-hand man to Jo.
As I understood it, you telling me, and as I told my wife, it's kind of like Margaret and Nick to Jo's Alan Sugar.
It is, but actually it's slightly more involved than that. Because they've evolved, haven't they, Margaret and Nick?
Well, she's now gone back to university to study ancient text.
But their role within the series has increased, and it's more the more prominent one. Also, what will be needed will be the backstage advice to these businesses, not just the on-screen stuff.
No, I absolutely understand that, and that's what I don't think has come across in our chatting, is that I've actually left the business, and I've left that 25% to run itself. I obviously have an active part in it from day to day, because I'm still very interested to see how it's doing. But what I do now is I consult with companies, and I ensure that they have everything they need to make sure they're going to get their products on shelf, and that's everything I've detailed already.
Okay, well,
which is exactly what you're saying, is that backroom help. It's the nitty gritty, making it work.
Yes, and you've got the time to do that.
I've got the time, and I've got the wherewithal, if you like.
Cool.
I was going to say talent then, I don't think that's the right word. But I must have to put products on shelf. So.
Of course. Alright, I'm going to turn this off. Stop torturing me.
I quite enjoyed it, it wasn't torture.
Good.